About 4 hours ago, President Buhari's New Year address towards the end spoke about why lives and quality of lives and security should improve in the Niger Delta and also in the country's northeast. So he spoke extensively. But you've seen the numbers of IDPs increasing. So a few days ago, the president and his team were talking about how to clean up the Ogoni, Nigeria's economic underbelly as far as the oil production is concerned. Then, of course, the Niger Delta, but of course, the business community have been weighing in, trying to help the government to do some of the call it to test some lives what should be changed from the business side in the new year. We heard the business of philanthropy. Bismarck Rwani, now we're having his final words on this edition of the show. But we need to change lives in 2018.
Yes.
How much do you think the business community should bring to the table or have been bringing to the table?
They've brought very little, but even though very little, some significant steps have been made. We must attribute and acknowledge the contribution of the Dangote Group and a few others. But, I mean, talk about committing massive resources towards building business school at Ibadan University, Bayero University, a significant amount of money being put into IDPs, significant amount of money being invested at the same time and creating jobs in Abajana and the refinery, the motor, it's unbelievable. And consistently, irrespective of the downturn, we've seen an increase in the investment and the giving back to society. Yes, I mean, we are a capitalist country, so people must make profits and all of that. However, but giving back to the society so that people can begin to feel the impact one way or the other is important, that we have to understand and appreciate this. I mean, that is not to say there are other groups that are doing this. There's the T.Y. Danjuma Foundation, there are the other foundation, Gates Foundation, but the Dangote Group stands out in terms of what it has committed and the kind of resources it's been committing, not just in terms of the investment, but also in giving back.
In various areas. Yes. In healthcare, you think we're seeing much in terms of the health. When we look at Aliko, for example, the Dangote Group and the man who symbolizes that
yes.
Group, which is Aliko himself, Africa's richest man, do you think he has reached out enough to the world? And other foundations like the Bill and Melinda Gates in terms of healthcare, whether it is in polio or whatever, do you think there's still more that the business of philanthropy could do in Nigeria in 2017 rather than just paying tax? What's the bottom line?
No, there's first and foremost, I think the Dangote Group have done a lot more than just paying taxes. I think they've actually committed significant amount of resources, affordable housing, right? Taking care of the communities where they operate. You haven't heard this. And they're not in the same league as the Gates Foundation because Gates doesn't have to buy generators where he operates in America, right? And so Gates just uses part of his profits and giving back to the world to ensure that the world is a better place. For Tata, ArcelorMittal, Dangote, and the other people from emerging economies, they have to overcome the impediments of business which they have. And secondly, they need to give back. They don't really need to give back. You could have the Russian model of oligarchs just taking money out of the system. But in this case, you have to give back because the future is more important. The Dangote Group and others are going to be held accountable, not just for their profitability, but for their activities, for their employment, and increasing the opportunities for people because there's not just income inequality, there's opportunity inequality. So in terms of actually investing in manpower, investing in vocational education, investing in infrastructure, right? That's very important, and we are going to see a lot of that in 2018. And it's not going to stop just because of 2018. It's going to go all the way through. I think that's an important.
So this is a part of what we should factor into the new year when we're looking at the business
yes.
and investment environment
yeah.
In Nigeria, for example,
what
the private sector.
MTN Foundation, for example, is doing significant amount of work, right? In spite of the fact there was a fine, they did a lot in terms of helping the Guinness. There's a lot of, this kind of activity going on, which is very important. Okay. But as we end, I think it's important to know that in 2018, you're going to see better 2.2% growth recovery, right?
That's your prediction?
Absolutely. You're going to have a minimum wage review. We think that as a minimum, it will go by 80% to 32,500. We think that interest rates are going to come down by at least 200 basis points. And we think that inflation will be down before it goes back up to about 14%. There'll be a fiercely contested election with 3 major parties, we think. And we also think there are the banking system fragilities, but there'll be no crisis. And more than anything else, it's going to be a better year than 2017.
Thanks for explaining all of that for us.
Thank you, Bosin.
Bismarck Rewani, Channel's Business News economic contributor and the CEO at Financial Derivatives Company. That's the first word from Business Morning in 2018. Tomorrow we're going into the markets and we have a lot to explain where we're coming from and most likely where we're heading in the new year. I am Bosin Namafai. Well, thank you for watching and goodbye from Lagos. I'll see you tomorrow.